Hi everyone, it's Kat here with my second video, and I apologize it's taken so long to get this out to you, but I have done this like half a dozen times trying to practice and get the timing down faster and get this into more manageable chunks so that it's not so long for you and I'm mindful of your time and yet still be who I am and show you my process and do things, you know, the way that I do them. So what I am doing for this video is, in my first one, I introduced myself and the project I'm going to be doing and explained how I did some of what I did here, and now it's time to show you how I did this. And I'm going to do this in chunks to try to keep this smaller for you. There's a lot of different methods here, mousses and distress paints and oxide inks and gelatos and acrylic sprays. That's a mix of all of this, and all of them have beautiful, interesting results. But for this video, I am going to just show you, I also use food color dyes. I'm just going to show you what I do with acrylic sprays. And basically it's just water and acrylic paint mixed in a sprayer, but I'm just going to show you my process so you see how I came out with this. Not this one. These right here are a combination of a couple of different methods along with the acrylic mixture. Like this has some distress stain as well as the acrylic spray. This is a pearly acrylic paint, and so is this. And this is also a mixture of some gelato as well as acrylic paint. You get different results depending on the consistency you mix and the amount of water, and if you want to lighten the color, that sort of thing. So I'm going to show you that. And I wanted you to also see some of the results of what I have done. And if there's time at the end, if this hasn't gotten too long, I will show you in this box. There's a lot of different projects that I've done using these dyeing methods and many others. But that's if there's time. If not, I can always do another video. But these are some of the things. I mean, even this is just simple stitching and ribbon glued. There's no dyeing in this one. This is also acrylic spray with perfect pearls over it. It even gives it a little bit of a patina look in some of the spots. I'm not sure if the camera quite captures that. But yeah, that's all that is the spray and then the perfect pearls. But I have lots of different things here. This is with food color dyes, This is a mixture of acrylic paint and some tempera. This is not. Things like embossing, different kinds of materials. But these are some of the things that I have created. Puzzle pieces, playing cards, that are going to be going into either my project that I had described in my first video, that very special family junk journal I'm going to be making for my son, or into something else because I probably am going to have extra materials. So, that's basically an idea of what I'm doing and what I'm going to be doing. The other videos will show the other methods. This one is mostly just for the acrylics. So let's dive into this, and I'm going to show you some of the materials that I use. Of course, you have your sprays. They just have to be shaken really well each time you use them because they settle a bit. I'm basically using the 4 colors, the green, yellow, purple, and pink, which is the palette for my special project. I've mixed up a whole bunch. And for this video, I'm just going to mix one to show you how I do it, but it's really quite simple. This is almost out, so I'm going to mix up more of this and show you how I do it, but the others I will also be using. It's just they're already done ahead of time so that we can save some time. All I basically use is any, you know, inexpensive acrylic paint. There are lots of brands and types out there. There's metallics, and hopefully I'm in frame enough here. There's metallics and pearly colors and, you know, different brands and whatnot, different shades. You can get them anywhere from places to Walmart, Target Dollar Spot. I've even seen a couple craft stores like Michael's and Joann's, even online, anywhere from 50 cents to $2 to $5. Another thing I use is tempera paints to give it a sort of chalky finish. And what I mean by that is this one here that I showed you is the acrylic paint mixed with tempera to soften the color as well as to give it that chalky finish. So you can make up big batches of a chalk finish like paint. I don't know if it wears the same, but it has the same appearance in my opinion. So that will have that effect. And if you don't want as much chalky, you can always lighten the colors with gesso. And then you could also, of course, use off-whites and white acrylics mixed in with it, which is what I did with, which is what I did with something like this. I mixed these two with water to get this shade, so I could get a possibly gloves if things will irritate your hands. I would normally recommend some sort of box for spraying in, but for me it affects my lighting, so I put paper around my work surface and sort of have it draped up so it's protecting things. But for you, you might want to do a box. Oh, and then there's the materials. I will show you some of the things that I will be dyeing either via this method or some of the other methods, but this is just an example, and I'm not going to go through all of them this video, but you'll get the idea. There's a lot of glassine bags that are embossed. There are die cuts, index cards that I've embossed. I will emboss with both dies and embossing pad, or embossing folders. Like this is an embossing folder. There are various types of papers, which I'm going to go through in a minute. More die cuts, more embossing, although that's hard to see. Yeah, die cuts. I mean, you get the idea. And even regular papers. And I will show you those materials. So, what those materials are is things that you might find around the house, or recycling materials. I love to recycle materials. I will find interesting bags, like from prescriptions or gift shops or all sorts of things. This was this, and all I did was I wanted to do it a quicker way, so I took the gesso and put I put gesso and water in the spray bottle, sprayed it down. I used the heat tool to dry it, but you could just let it air dry and then come back and do another coat in between stuff you're doing. And there's no messing with paintbrushes or anything. I just sprayed it down. It's almost the same thing, and once the water evaporates, it winds up doing the same thing. Now you can see it a little bit, but once I've dyed this and decorated and done things, you won't even see that anymore, but it just pushed it back. And the gesso gives it a very interesting texture. See, it's the difference between that, and it's still kind of both together, which makes it nice. So yeah, things like that, or any other kinds of interesting bags or materials or recycling that you find. I even use packaging. I will use tags from purchases that I make. So here is a little pile of different things that you can dye, or that I will be or have done, but they're just samples. Doilies of all shapes and sizes. I believe this one I got from A Tattered Dream. Index cards. You can get them from Daiso, which these are from $1.50 for like 100, and I love the faint graph, so it helps, but it's not really bright. You've got ones from Dollar Tree and Walmart. All kinds of different sizes and shapes of envelopes. You can get packages of these from Dollar Tree. You can get ones on sale from Hobby Lobby, from Walmart. Flash cards and any kind of other playing cards. You can use them to represent special numbers to you, or in your junk journals and other things, or turn them into journaling cards by just painting one side. I got a package of these from Dollar Tree, so they're very easy to find. Playing cards like that one I showed you that I already did. It's a different pattern, and you can faintly see the design, but I painted it with the purple, and that is going to look really nice when I'm done. Lots of kitchen materials. Here I have wax paper. I have designed, I haven't seen it anywhere else, so I don't think anybody else has done it, but if they have, I haven't seen. But I designed a hinged version of a glassine bag. This is going to go into a signature, and this will be the hinge, and this is the flap. And these would probably hold acrylic sprays really well, as well as possibly food color dyes. I don't think it would hold heat embossing powder all that well and some other things, but those I think it would. So you get wax paper, parchment papers, freezer paper. Here I have deli paper. You can get a box of like 500 sheets of this from Costco, I think maybe Amazon. Paper bags are great. The color will be different, but it'll be interesting. You can cut them down, die cut them, all sorts of things. I have copy paper here, 32-pound paper, which I think I mentioned in my first video. HP that I get off of Amazon. It has such a buttery, satiny feel. Cardstocks in various shades of white, but it's nice and thick. Freezer paper is wonderful, especially if you use the papery side for dyeing and then this side for the inside. Things will slip in and out very easily. And a good example of that, without taking too long here, is this pocket that I made. This is heat embossing, stitching, and the slippery portion is on the inside where things will slide in and out easier. There's so much you can do. And this I got from Daiso, but you can probably find it online or places like Amazon. 60 sheets of calligraphy paper for $1.50. And this stuff is kind of cool. It's sort of like a combination of tissue paper and freezer paper. Yeah, it's quite thin, and one side is more papery and the other is more slick and slippery. I haven't tried this yet, but I may get to try it with you depending on how much time we have, but I am going to try a piece of that. And, you know, anything else that you see around that you can think of that you'd like to try dyeing. I mean, look around and see what you have, but there's so many things that you can do with different materials. So that's all the materials, and let's dive in and I'll show you what I do, and I will do a few samples with you of items which I have right here. This I used the Heidi Swap stencil. I'm not sure what it's called, but it's a nice sort of chevron-like design. Very good quality. I like this. It doesn't bleed as much as some other stencils might. But I did the purple on one side, and I'm going to show you this side. I'm going to probably do pink. But I'm loving how that's coming out already. An index card that I cut a nice edge to, I'm going to dye that. This I did oxide inks with some water and stamping on this side, and this side I'm going to spray, and it'll get stitched up the sides and bottom. This one has modeling paste that I dyed with ink and used a stencil, and I'm going to spray at least one side of it, I'm not sure, maybe two. Another envelope, which I'm going to spray this a different color from the back side. I used a paper towel crinkled up to give that pattern, which I think looks really interesting. Oh, here's another material which I forgot to mention. Coffee filters. I have single serve size ones, which I showed you in a quick sample with this, where I use these satiny paints to make a little pocket. And then there's the regular machine ones, which you can do amazing things with, and if I get the chance I'll show you again some more samples. But I already did half, and I'm going to do the other half. And then there's a glassine bag, which has an interesting texture, and I'm going to paint the other side. And then this, the deli paper. I just take the folded sheet and cut it in half, and I can make 2 bags out of it. So I'm going to do some of those with you, but first I'm just going to show you how I mix the paint. Really so easy. This one I didn't lighten with the white or anything. I just did by itself. I'm going to put some water in here, and I'll be right back. So I have put water in here. I like to try to use very warm water, not too hot, but very warm, so that it will help mix up and break down the acrylic if it needs it at all. And it looks like I have filled it up, but I haven't. You know, when you first put the water in, it may get a little bubbly. The water's probably to maybe a third, somewhere between a third. I don't know if you can see that, to a halfway up, but once the bubbles dissipate, you'll see. But I'm going to add the paint to it, so I make sure I shake it real well first. And what I like to do is, for the bottles, I think I forgot to mention that the spray bottles are easy to find. You can get a set at Dollar Tree like this. It only has one spray bottle and then two like lotion type dispenser bottles, but it's only $1. And with these spares, what I like to do is mix up the paints with this top on, shake it real well, and then put the sprayer in so that shaking up, you know, while it's still thick doesn't clog up the sprayer. And then if I have leftovers and whatnot, you know, I use these just to cap them up and save them for later. But I try to use them somehow so that they're not going to waste. But you can also get other ones. These I've gotten at various supermarkets. They run anywhere from $1 to $2. This I got from Walmart for like 97 cents. You can get the mini Mr. Ranger ones, but they're a bit small for me. They don't fit a lot, but they work pretty well. This bottle here I got from Daiso for $1.50. So far, best one yet. It never has clogged on me. And if it does, it's like just needs a couple shaking, and just to put like a little pin here real quick and shake it up, and it works just fine. Yeah, and that's, you know, you can find them most places for roughly around $1. And for this one from Dollar Tree, like I said, it's $1, and you're getting the 2 extras for whatever you want them for. If anybody knows of a better price or place to get them than $1 each, please definitely let me know, but that's the best price that I have found. So, anyway, back to what I was doing. Trying to keep this rather quick if I can. So, what I will do is keep the sprayer out for a minute, and once I've shaken this really well, after pouring it in, it's going to be hard to see because I can't tilt it up towards the camera, but I don't know, it winds up being somewhere between a teaspoon and 2 teaspoons worth of paint. But really, you have to just get a feel for it. You know, make one up, add some in. If it's not dark enough or thick enough for you, add more in. You know, keep testing it out and see the consistency and the color that you like. There's no real formula for it. And then what I like to do is cover the top and shake it with my finger, but of course using the towel so that it doesn't get everywhere, so that when I first shake it, it doesn't clog up the sprayer until it's well mixed. So I do that. Sorry if the camera's shaking at all. And then once it's pretty well mixed, I'll then add the sprayer and shake it some more, but at least I know that it's not getting clogged up with what's already in there. Now I may have to, I'm not sure where the top is. I do recommend shaking it with the top, but I'm not sure what happened to that one. Because sometimes you'll get a lemon that might leak on you or something, so just be careful and mindful of that. But I'm shaking really, really well. I mean, you want to really get things mixed up so that it sprays well for you. And then what I like to do is take a paper towel and just get it going and test it, and that looks really good to me. So let's see, I think first what I'll do is use it on the back of this deli paper. So I'm going to, now I have several layers down underneath this. I have the freezer paper, then I have some shipping off-white paper underneath that, and then a tablecloth underneath that. So things are well protected. You probably don't even need that much. Dollar Tree has, you know, dollar tablecloths that probably would do the trick. But because I do so much, I like to be sure and protect my counters. And I like to spray on a paper towel or another sheet of deli paper, whatever. Actually, maybe I'll do that this time because I've used a few paper towels. See, but what happens is, even the paper towels I'll reuse because sometimes they have some really pretty patterns. And I think I might have mentioned that this pocket is made with a paper towel. And that will be for another video, but I made it sort of look like a denim thing. Anyway, if I spray on the deli paper, it'll catch any of the paint, and then I could also use that later too. But I want to not get the overspray, even though this is my work surface and it can get paint on it. I don't want to get it right on it so that when I'm doing stuff I don't dip it back into it and make a mess. So I'm going to spray it on the deli paper. Oh, and I'm also going to cover the part that I've already done because I don't need any paint on that. If some gets on it, I don't mind, but that's not the look I'm going for, so I'm trying not to get too much. Different spray bottles will spray in different consistencies. You just have to test them out and see what you like and how it works for you. Some will spray more thicker drops, some will spray more in sort of like a circular fashion that that the middle won't spray as much. You know, you just have to test it out. So it'll be a bit spotty. Sometimes what I like to do first is take a paper towel and blot it. And like I said, I like to reuse these for different things. And sometimes that will remove a bit much, but that's okay because it starts to lay down a little bit of a layer. And then I'll spray more. And sometimes as it soaks in, it will pick up. I saw something go into that. That's the results of having pets in your home. And as it soaks in, whoops, I forgot to put the towel down, but that's okay. I don't mind a little bit. It'll sort of blend it together. But as some soaks in, the other layers on top will start to stick a little bit better. Okay, so I am going to dry this a little bit and I will be right back. Okay, so I have dried this for the most part. There's some slight dampness, but it's mostly dry. I don't know, well here if I close it, you can see some of the drip marks, which I like. Depending on what you're looking for, it could look quite interesting. But, and the soft look is very pretty, but it's not as dark as I wanted it. I wanted it a little bit more contrasting to the pink, so I'm going to spray one more layer. And I think what I have determined here is that this mixture is a little bit on the fluid side and more watery, and I think I would like to have a little bit thicker consistency of paint. So this is that case where I said, you know, before, if it's not the consistency you're looking for, definitely add more. So I'm going to do that. So I don't know, maybe another, this bottle's getting kind of low. I think I might have another somewhere, but I think I'm going to add like maybe another teaspoon's worth. And I'm just guessing because I'm really just eyeballing it. Okay, hopefully that should be good. Some of these mixtures have come out thicker, some of them thinner, and all of them are quite interesting. So we're going to shake that really well. And then finish mixing with the sprayer in there. I really like to be careful of getting clogs because they can be fixed and cleaned, but it can be time consuming and a pain. So, bear with me if the camera's shaking, I apologize. You really have to shake vigorously. Okay, this is pretty dry too. So once again, I'm going to cover up the pink edge just so I don't get too much over there. A little bit's okay. And spray again. Test a little. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then, and other layers will definitely help if you're looking for a darker shade. See that? It starts to even out, especially as it sinks into the more waxy material. And I'm liking that shade a lot. That's actually one of my favorite shades of purple in the whole world. Mostly because it reminds me of lilacs, which is my favorite flower, and it was my mother's favorite. Okay, so I'm going to dry this again, and I will be right back. Okay, so I have finished drying this. I'm really liking how it looks, and as you might be able to see, I hope, with the light, a little bit of spotting, which I like that effect. It has a texture to it almost. But if you don't like the spotting look, you can, I don't think you can not get any at all, but you'll get less of it if you make the acrylic ratio thicker. So adding more of the paint to the water mixture and making it less watery will make it cover or coat a little thicker and a little better. But that all depends on what effect you're looking for. But I'm really loving it. So, and it might curl a little. You can fix that with either heat from both sides to even it out. You can put it under books, run it through a die cut machine. But a lot of it will fix itself as I sew the edges. But this is going to be a really pretty pocket, and I'll probably like corner around the edges and stuff, and there's lots of things you can do with it, embellish it. So that's that. And then I wanted to do, getting over 30 minutes here, I'm trying to keep this to at least 45 minutes or less. I eventually would like to get these between 15 and 30 minutes. So I hope you hang in there with me. I'm learning. It's a much bigger learning curve than I ever imagined. I used to do Instagram, and I know how time-consuming and painstaking photos can be, but videos are so much harder. I'm learning as I go along, and I think I'm getting better. I'm trying to improve the lighting as well. I hope that that is better for you. Fold it down, perhaps. Yeah, maybe that'll work. Maybe a little more. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect for me, but I don't think I want to waste the paint on the inside when I can just line it with scrapbook paper if I want to, but I don't even know if I'll do that. A lot of things I kind of just do as I go along. I go where the feeling takes me. There we go. So now I just can get that. That might be too big. Yeah, so fold that. Sort of adapt things as I go along, which is why it gets hard for me to make the video short, but I'm trying to be mindful of your time. It's just as important to you as mine is to me, and at the same time I really want to show you my process. Alright, so it's not going to be perfect, and this will make the glue not, you know, you can't activate it anymore because it will get wet and then dry, but you could always use, you know, double-sided tape, glue, whatever you want. I probably won't be sealing it. Alright, so I'm going to spray that down. Let's see, I'll do it that way. And I think I'm going to put a paper towel underneath it as well, just so that the paint doesn't seep to the other side, which I really love. So if any goes over, it'll absorb by the paper towel. So this one I'm going to do in the pink. You know, I'm thinking I want to use the stencil here too, and because I like the look of it, I'm going to use this sort of curly, so I'm going to use this Heidi Swap stencil again. And what I did on this side was I tried to get it, yeah, so that just the corners of this point here were even. So I'm going to try to do the same on this side. So once again, get that back on my papers. All right. And aim those corners sort of, well, I think for up here it's not going to matter too much because I've got the glue strip. So it's more so about the bottom portion. Although some of it might get on the deli paper and have an interesting effect, and I could use that later. But yeah, I think I'm happy with that. Alright, so surprisingly this doesn't get underneath as much as I thought. And I think it's because of the weight of the stencil. It's really good quality. I'm really happy with it, and I don't know if she still makes them, but I'm gonna be looking more for these Heidi Swap stencils. It's really, I think it's a little pricier, but it's really good quality. Sometimes you get what you pay for. Sometimes you don't, but sometimes you do. Alright, so I'm gonna sort of spray that from up above and not too much angle. And I'm gonna kind of go over it heavily. Get a good coat. My hands will get paint. I don't care. It will come off. And if it's heavy, this way the stencil will give it a more distinct look, even if some of it runs under. And then what I'm going to do is, now that I'm done with that, I'm just going to, I should have grabbed another piece, but that's okay. I'm going to blot this with this deli paper, and it will also have a nice effect. And some of it will squeeze through, I don't mind. I think also when you make a thicker mixture, stencils will work better. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's just based on the previous experience. Yeah, this one is not as crisp as the other, and I think it's because the paint's thinner. I'm going to put that right in the sink so I can wash it off. And that's alright. I still am going to like this look. I'm thinking that what I might have done on the other side is coated it with a light color first. So maybe I'll do that. I think I'm going to just cover the whole thing and then go over with a darker color and try the stencil again. So you never know what you're going to get, but that's kind of part of the fun. So I'm going to soak this up again so it's not too pooling up. But basically I just want to coat it. Alright. I will put that over by the sink to dry. And then I'm going to blot this as well, because it's quite pooling. And then dry that, and then I'll rinse the stencil and come back and use a darker coat, and let's see what we get. That's going to be very pearly and pretty though, so I think either way I'm going to like it. But I will be right back after I've dried this and rinsed my stencil. Okay, so I finished drying this, and a quick note, if you notice that when you dye envelopes some of the parts start to come apart, that's pretty expected. I mean, basically you're dousing any of the adhesive and pieces may come apart easier than others depending on, and this might eventually too, depending on how wet you got it and how much adhesive was used. But of course, as you, I'm sure, surmised, it's pretty easy to remedy. You can just run a little strip of double-sided tape, a little bit of glue, whatever you like. I'm not too worried about that right now. I'm going to wait to fix that until I'm all done. If you don't like the look of the adhesive like this, almost having a sort of dirty look, you can either spray it, or if you want to keep your lines more crisp, you can take a little paintbrush and apply a little acrylic paint, even unthinned out. Also, I was thinking you could use a piece of washi tape that would coordinate with the colors and patterns you're using really well. I'm not going to worry about that until I find where I'm using this, and then go according to, you know, what I'm doing and how it's going to look. But the other side hasn't really been affected much. It still looks great, and this looks great. It's nice and pearly looking. So now I'm going to do a different, darker shade of pink. And just to make sure that it goes well through the stencil, since the other one seemed a bit thin, I'm going to add more acrylic to make sure it's thick enough. You know, I think that may be dark enough, but maybe what I'll do, that's a high gloss. Actually, this might have been the curly that I think I'm going to use the, it's kind of fluorescent-y looking, but I think I'm going to use a teeny little bit of what is called candy pink, just to make sure it's dark enough and really contrasts with the other pink. So I don't know if that's on camera, but you get the idea. I'm going to get my stencil and I'll be right back. So I've got my stencil set up and I put my deli paper back in the envelope, and just going to give this one more good shake. Make sure it's really well mixed. And this time I turn the stencil the other way to see if that makes any difference. I'm not sure. There's a shinier side, and I'm thinking maybe the more matte side will hold some of the paint from seeping in. I'm not even sure if that matters, but we'll see. So again, I'm gonna, and this is a thicker mixture, so it might do better. I mean, you saw the other side, so it's varied results, especially when it comes to spraying. Let me spray this, get it started. Okay, it's a bit thick. It might be a little clogged. I haven't used this one in a little while. Let me see if I can. Alright, this is going to be a bit thick, so this bottle might not work as good as some of the others. That happens, I've noticed. Sometimes you just get ones that don't work the same or as good as others. It's sort of the nature of these, but let's see what happens. Maybe it'll be a good thing. You never know. So I'm going to sort of hold down the stencil. This is going to be interesting, that's for sure. My hands will get painty, but I don't mind. It washes off. I'm going to even purposefully spray the flap a little bit. And let's see what happens. First I'm going to wipe off my hand a little bit. And then I think this time I'm going to go over it with a paper towel, just to soak up more than the deli paper would. And I'm not expecting, in fact I was expecting the other side to turn out much messier than it did, so I'm really open to just going with it. Whatever happens, happens, and making the most of it, and just enjoying the process. So that looks pretty good. Put that right in the sink. Yeah, I think I'm liking that. Again, it's not perfect, but that's not what I'm looking for. Pull this out very gently. And as it dries, you will see definitely more of a stark contrast. But I'm going to dry this, and again, I will be right back. So I have finished drying this. I think the more I look at it, the more I am liking the idea of I'm going to get a thin, lightweight floral scrapbook paper and cut it and just adhere it down on the inside, sort of like an envelope liner, and either fit it to this or just run over it with washi tape. I'll see, you know, how it looks based on what I'm putting it in. But once you've got the flap closed, sorry about all the paint on my hand, look at how beautiful that looks. It's very shimmery from the sort of pearly paint that I used on the first layer. And there's even some shimmer in one of the paints I used here. I forget which one. It might have been the first layer that had a sort of shimmer to it. But I love the contrast of the purple and pink. It wasn't what I planned, but I love that sometimes what you don't plan on can come out the best. So yeah, I'm really happy with this. I'm loving how this looks, and you know, I could embellish it. I could just leave it as is. It's really quite pretty. Maybe even put like cut a tall journal card or something. I don't know, but I love it. So anyway, let's see what I have time for. I think I'm running close to 45 minutes here. So maybe just one or two more and I'll wrap this up. I think I'm going to do another video, more of a quicker video, where I show you some of what's in this box here. And then what I'll do is any of these pieces that I haven't gotten to for the video, I will finish up and I'll show you in that one. But this way I don't make these too long and too much at once. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint that one and then the other half of this. And these I will do off camera, and I'll come back and show you in the next video some of these completed. Another thing that I think I can pass on as a decent tip is when you mix these up, in this particular case, I think I put a little too much of everything, as in like water and acrylic. So the bottle's rather full and it doesn't shake and mix as well. So one thing I think I'm finding I like is do like a half a bottle of water and then add your acrylic. So this way you know you're not getting any more than roughly like a half a bottle of water. And of course adjust it according to the consistency you want. But then mix the acrylic in and then shake it. So this way if your bottle is not too full, it'll be easier to get that mixed up. Right now it's really full, plus when you shake it, it foams a little bit. I think I'm finding that the better the paint, the less foam you get, but you'll get some anyway, either way. And that will make it hard to shake if, you know, if it's so full that things aren't even moving as well. So yeah, so I'm just going to do the 2 more and we'll wrap this up. I'm trying not to make it too long, and I will get better at this, so just hang in there with me. I'm going to block off the portion that I did already because I'm looking for sort of a... Actually, you know what? Maybe I will... Yeah, I'll leave a little bit exposed so they blend together. It's going to be more yellow this time, whereas with the last one... See, I did the blending there too. It's sort of a more even blending of pink and purple, and this will have more of one color than the other. So yeah, get 2 out of the way. I don't mind spraying, you know, some things nearby, but like right now I have this basket here. I don't mind that, but I don't want to spray all over my heat tool. All right, one more good shake, and let's see how this comes out. I think the coffee filters is one of my favorite materials because it absorbs so beautifully. Wow, this is a brighter yellow than I thought. I think on like the deli papers and stuff, it's much softer, and of course I didn't mix it as much as other times before. So this is quite bright, and I think a little brighter than I wanted. It's more of a mustardy yellow, and I'm looking for a more of a pastel yellow. Wow, that's really bright. I don't know if that's showing up in camera, but again, I just really like to try to roll with things. So what I'm going to do is grab the gesso mixture and spray that on and see if that will knock it back a little bit, and see what happens. Sometimes some of the best things turn up because you weren't even trying, you were just experimenting, and you never know, like Forrest Gump, you never know what you're gonna get. Yeah, that's definitely getting better, and I think as it dries it will also subdue it a little bit. Of course it's gotten on the other side, but you know, that might be a happy accident, because when I go over that, maybe I'll use a lighter color. Yeah, you know what, I could actually do that now. I'm going to, because I might as well dry it all at once, right? I'm going to turn that over. Let's see. Another scrap that I have over here. There's a little drop of purple, but again, I'm just going with it. I'm going to try this lighter yellow, since this is such an absorbent, different material than... I don't have a sample handy, but the deli papers and such come out a little... these don't come out quite as stark. Alright, so let's try that. Well, let's get this to go down a little better. Oh yeah, I like that color much better. Much better. In fact, and I'm liking the way the sprayer is working much better as well. So, what I'm going to do is go back over the other side as well. See if I can knock that back a little more. The dollar store sprayers I've had the most luck with. I'm not saying they're all perfect. Don't hold me to that. But so far I've had pretty good luck. Alright, that worked. So I'm really happy with this mixture. I think I used two different yellows. I think I used this yellow flame from Apple Barrel and some of this vanilla combined to make this shade with the water, of course. So I'm going to blot that a little bit, right? And then I'm going to dry it and I'll come back. Oh, actually, you know what? Before I do that, yeah, that's going to look pretty good. So I'm going to let that sit aside for just a minute. And before I go to dry it, I'm going to get this other piece done so I could dry them both and wrap this up, because I'm worried that it's getting over 45 minutes now, and I was trying to get it closer to half an hour, but I've already cut out so much. So let's do it that darker purple. Maybe I can even speed this up a little bit. To block this so it's not too speckly. I mean, you can get more of a speckled look with either more watered down, or you can even use ink sprays. I really like acrylics because they coat a little thicker and can often be more even, but both can look really beautiful, and I'll be using those too. So I'm just going to get a little more over here and blot again. There's so many great products out there that will have interesting effects. There's a lot of shimmery type sprays. There's, you know, there's distress sprays. There's a lot of things that can look great. You just have to try different things based on what you can afford or what you like. I like many of them myself. Alright, so move these pieces out of the way, and I'm going to dry this and then this one, and I will be right back. Okay, so I'm back. This is not completely dry, but it's mostly dry, and this feels completely dry. One interesting effect is that the paint pretty much knocked back the grid lines, and that's okay, because I can either keep this side for writing on, or I could draw in some lines. I mean, just use this as some sort of embellishment. There's so much to do with it, but I'm loving how that came out and the shade, and it has more of an even coating, which is one of the things I love about the acrylic sprays. This is just one Apple Barrel plumish color. I don't remember the name, but sort of like a plum mixed with water, and that was it. This one, I'm really liking how this has come out too. It's a bit brighter than I was looking for. I may go over it again with another coat, but for now you get the idea. I love the blending of the yellow and green. Yellow and green look so nice together, and that's going to make an interesting little pocket. And I'll just show you real quick the other things that we did. So there was this one with the pink and purple, and I think in another video I'm just going to show you some of the sewing that I do with some of these. I didn't get to these yet, but I don't want to make this any longer. I could do it in another video, or just show you what I've done already. Oh, and then of course the envelope, which is this, but that's just a sampling of some of what I do, and I've shown you a bunch of the other things that I've done, and most of this is acrylic sprays. One other thing I did forget to show you real quick was I'm even spraying them on puzzle pieces. And you can get boxes of puzzles like this one at Dollar Tree. At first I got these for jelly printing, but there's so many more uses. A couple years ago I got it for jelly printing. But they do well with acrylic paints because it covers and coats, you know, the patterns that are there. And these will be fun elements for junk journals. But there you go. That's what I've done today. And there's so much more that I want to share with you. I'm not sure how long this is. I think it's getting closer to 45 minutes, maybe even a little longer. It's hard to tell until I've edited out a lot of like my drawing and whatnot. And I apologize for that. I'm really trying to get this more and more concise and cut down. I like to explain things real well, and I'm trying not to be too chatty. But I will get better. This is only my second video that's coming out, and I don't want to do it again because I've done it like half a dozen times and I'm always finding something wrong. But, you know, stick with me. I have so many ideas to share with you. So many projects, but just a really quick sneak peek. Here's a pocket that I made with napkins, like I have right here, napkins and parchment paper and some dies. That's all it is, parchment paper and sewing. So I've made a pocket, and then there are other pockets here. And I'm going to show you that project in an upcoming video. Also, another project that I made, just have to grab it here, is this envelope sort of mini album, but I hinged it because I'm thinking of putting it in a junk journal, but it might be too thick, I'm not sure. I could always cut it off, but it has lots of pockets and tuck spots and journaling places, and even some of the pockets I've created from this dyeing. So that's another project I'm going to share with you. And then another one, which I'm really loving, is I've created these napkin papers. Yes, paper. Using napkins to start, and I'll show you how I do that as well. But this is an actual paper made from a napkin. So those are some upcoming videos. I also have some hauls to share, like some garage sale and eBay, and this is from Goodwill, things like that. I have some Daiso hauls, Joann's. So let me know in the comments if there's any in particular you'd like to see first, and I would like to try to do what you would like. If not, I'll just do whatever comes to me and share it with you. I hope you enjoyed this process, and you stick with me. I will get better, and I will see you in the next video, and I really hope you get the opportunity to try some of these things with whatever materials you find. I hope you have a wonderful day and a great week. Thanks for watching. Bye.